All right, welcome to my podcast, Career Startup. This is your host, Priyanka Komala. I'm here with another interesting episode, and this time I have two wonderful ladies from Seattle. I have with me Aditi Patil and Deepali Paul, uh, wonderful women who are the co-founders of We Are Pistachios. So I'm quite sure you're excited to hear what is We Are Pistachios. The name sounds very exciting to me, and let's delve deeper into who these wonderful ladies are. Aditi, I'm going to start with you. Thank you for joining us on this day. And Deepali, thank you again for spending your valuable time with our listeners today. So Aditi is the founder and chief relocating spouse of We Are Pistachios. That sounds exciting. What a So Aditi is also an executive coach. She's a talent builder and she loves to travel the world, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome, Aditi. And Deepali, she's a project management professional, an entrepreneur, an out-of-the-box thinker who can deliver big results with limited resources. So what more can I ask for having these two amazing women who are inspiring and like-minded and are here to form a community? Thank you and welcome to my show.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So Aditi, I'm going to get started with you. You are a globe trotter. So tell me, how does it feel when you look back at your life? I know you've traveled 4 countries in 5 years, starting from India to Malaysia, Singapore, and to US. And you being a career-minded woman have made a lot of interesting choices. So tell us a little bit when you look back, how does life feel?
Yeah, so it feels surreal. I would like to call myself an accidental globetrotter. I never imagined living outside in another country. It wasn't part of the plan, and I have my husband to thank for that, since his career took me and our family across all this wonderful adventure. So it was just a series of choices that we kept making, for our personal growth and just for our family's growth, and to give our kids those experiences as well. And when I look back at it, I think that I did not anticipate how tough it would be, especially for a woman who's navigating her career, family, and having to make those interesting choices and pivots. So looking back, I think that, oh my gosh, I had no idea that it was going to be this tough. And when I look back, I also feel the sense of pride, because I feel like had I lived in one place for the rest of my life, I don't think I would have grown as much as I have today. I don't think I would have had the experiences that I've had today. So had some amazing experiences volunteering for United Nations and doing things which really one would never imagine. So it's a mixture of feelings.
That's pretty cool. Deepali, tell us about your take on how life has treated you so far.
There are 2 parts to my life, I would say. One would be pre-location and one relocation, and one would be the post-relocation. My pre-relocation life was more or less close to perfect life, where I had a perfect career going. Everything is working out for me. I was this job creator in India, where I was in a position to offer people job opportunities, and everything that kind of changed. All of that changed the moment I moved to the US. Suddenly, here I was without a personal, professional, or a social network. I had to actually proactively reach out to people, asking them for a job. Coming from an entrepreneurship background, mine was not a typical, like a technology kind of a resume where I could easily have got, or somebody would have immediately picked up my resume and given me a opportunity to even interview. So all of that changed. I was kind of pushed out of my comfort zone, and I think that really brought out the kind of resilience in me that I was unaware that I had. So while the journey was extremely difficult, I don't think I would trade it for anything else in life.
That's amazing, Deepali, because sometimes life teaches you to be more resilient. And that's a theme that I've observed. Sheryl Sandberg, the CEO of Facebook, talks about Plan B in her latest book, where she feels after she lost her husband, she built that resilience muscle in her to keep going forward. And for us, we have to face those choices in several aspects of our lives. So, as women, we got to be tough decision makers at some points in our life. So thank you for sharing that amazing experience. So tell us about We Are Pistachio. So Aditi, I know it's your brainchild. How did it all start?
Yeah, so I think it started somewhere in my head when I moved to Malaysia for the first time, was followed my husband's job, found myself in uncharted territory, leaving my job and now suddenly grappling with staying in a different country, trying to transition to the stay-at-home mom aspect, and trying to find role models of women who had careers despite following their husbands. And I struggled. It was 2014. I struggled to find those stories. So there was this seed of thought in my head. And finally, moved to the US and uh, got lucky with a lot of things, found jobs, got a lot of experience. And it actually came to a head when I came to Seattle. Now, Seattle was a move within the US. So I was moving from Wisconsin to Seattle, but I would rate it as the toughest moves for me. And suddenly, much like Deepali shared, I found myself literally out of my comfort zone, did not have a professional network, was trying my best to find a job, was trying my best to find other women like me who, despite having US experience, were not really landing an opportunity which did justice to their skills. So all this while, I kept thinking, okay, how do I find that? How do I find that? And finally, in Seattle, I think in 2018, I said, okay, well, if it is to be, then it's up to me. Let me just figure it out. Let me do something with relocating spouses. And coincidentally, connecting the dots, by then I had actually landed a coaching opportunity with a company where I was actually coaching relocating spouses. And I found that I was really able to delve into and help them because I understood their issues so well. And I really, really was able to help them grow. So I realized that this is an area of passion for me. And then, but I never run a business before. I mean, my parents are career educators. I know nothing about running a business. So I actually went to UW and did a course in entrepreneurial leadership. And I said, I'm going in and I'm going to take this idea that I want to build something for relocating spouses. And 6 months later, I'm going to come out with something, which is a business plan and an idea. And that's how through those 6 months, I came up with this vision of what We Are Pistachio is. It's a community built by relocating spouses for each other. I met so many like-minded women along the way, one of whom was Deepali. And then, with her shared passion and her badass entrepreneurial skills, it just made sense that she come on board and take this to a new level. So it really started with a personal pain point, and this desire that if I'm going through something like this, there must be many women who are going through the same thing, and why not go through it together to make it easier on all of us.
Thank you, Aditi. And I'm really glad once you had that seed of thought, you felt like you wanted to reach out and help other like-minded women. And somebody needs to, take action. And I'm glad you just stepped in and wanted to figure it out. So Deepali, I know Aditi and you met, but tell us a little bit more about how was that experience? And when you met Aditi, how did she convince you to get you on board?
Yeah. So, like I said, when I moved to the US, I had absolutely no social network at all. So here I was sitting in front of Facebook the whole day trying to see who are the people that I could connect to. And I saw one of Aditi's posts and I just randomly replied to the post. It was not about a relocating spouse or anything like that, but just, like a social post that she had put up. And we decided to catch up for coffee. And that's when she first spoke to me about this idea. And I was like all in. I was like passionate about the cause. And I said, this is awesome because I have been through the struggle and I know what it is. And both of us together can put our experiences together and really help other women in similar situation as us. So that's where it started actually. But obviously we didn't follow through. In the meanwhile, I got busy with something else and Aditi was busy with her coaching assignments. It's only when she decided to get her education in entrepreneurship and she actually worked on it as a live project. once she was done with all of that, she actually, formally presented the whole thing to me. And believe me, Priyanka, I didn't need winning over or being bought at all, because it's a cause that really resonated with me. And I truly believe that if you're passionate about something, that's when you can make it a success.
That's amazing to hear. So, what's the best thing about We Are Pistachios, Aditi?
I think the best thing is, I would like to say, We Are Pistachio is a community built by relocating spouses for each other. So our website was built by a relocating spouse. Myself and Deepali, we are founders, we are relocating spouses. We have a volunteer team, which is relocating spouses. Many of our speakers are relocating spouses who have reinvented themselves. So really, it's everything that we are building is built by relocating spouses. So we are able to cater to their needs. We're able to help them where they need the most help because we get each other. The most rewarding moments are when Dipali and I will meet someone and we talk to a lot of relocating spouses, and within 15 minutes that connection just happens, and it's like we've known each other for months because we are shared in that experience of relocation and of that relocating for your spouse's career, and we get each other. So that's the best part.
That's great. So, Deepali, how big is the community? Do you have some numbers that you can share with us?
Sure. So we have like 150 members on Facebook. So what we are trying to do is not really grow the community with everybody who wants to join it, but we are absolutely, it's a very intentional approach to have only relevant relocating spouses on our group. Also, what it's a private Facebook group, which and we want to keep it that way. We don't want to make it a public group because we want to create a very safe space for all our members to share their experiences, and they're much more comfortable doing that right now because it's a private group. And like one of our members said the other day, that what I love about this group is I come on in here and I don't have to explain myself. I go in any other social situation, I have to explain them what I really am. So the group really gets her. So that's what we are trying to create here, a safe space where these relocating spouses can share their experiences.
That's pretty cool. And I like the fact that the promise that you have for We Are Pistachios is being open, happy, global, tough, but still nutty. So it encompasses a lot of feelings that a woman goes through. So that's pretty cool. So tell us a little bit, Aditi, about what does an average relocating spouse look like, feel like? What kind of experiences do they share with you?
Wow, that's such a great question. And I think I would say they all look very different, and everybody's journey is so unique and fascinating and inspiring. We've had somebody who used to have a sales and marketing career and now came on board and became an executive coach. We have someone who is a mindfulness teacher now and reinvented herself. So there are lots of different paths, which I think is great, because what we're trying to say is, hey, there's no one unique path to get to wherever you want to be. There are so many different ways to get to your success. And so there are very, very different stories and journeys that exist. But what is at the core of it is something we were all discussing earlier, is that the core of it is resilience. Something that relocating spouses have is, which also makes them highly employable, and that's one of our goals, is that they are extremely resilient and adaptable. They will be, you can put them in any situation and they will adapt, and they will not just survive, they will thrive. So to kind of give you a short answer, everybody's story and journey is unique, but the common theme is that of resilience.
That's amazing. Deepali, what have you observed with the relocating spouses community?
Yeah, so my again, like Aditi said, our journeys are very different, yet there's so much in common. So what remains in the common between all these stories is the loneliness that one feels, the rejection that one faces over and over again, The fact that you have to prove yourself all over again, despite having done that in the country of your origin. So while we say that the journeys are unique, all these things still remain common. And believe me, like Priyanka, we have members from 13 different countries. And it doesn't matter where you come from. These things are always the same.
Yeah, that's very true. It's the fabric is consistent, right? Irrespective of the locations and the geographical barriers that separate us. So, Aditi, tell me, was there ever a low moment in this journey that you want to share with us?
Oh my God, so many, Priyanka. I mean, you know, it's a journey like which I like to say the highs are high and the lows are low, and which is why just to quickly before I answer your question, our promise, we say is no relocating spouse is ever alone, because like Dipali said, there are many moments where you feel incredibly alone in the middle of even your family. And I think for me, the lowest moment was my first relocation. I think it was pretty tough. We had just moved to Malaysia. I had a 2-year old and an 8-year old. It was our third day. So we'd moved from like being cocooned and living with our family very close by to now this place where we don't know a soul. So picture this, I'm with my kids in a service apartment. My husband has to travel now. So he, on the fourth day, says, I have to travel, and he's out in a different country. So me and my kids are alone in that service apartment. And we are really like having almost an emotional breakdown. And my 2-year old starts crying. Then my 8-year old starts crying. And then I was crying. And then we were FaceTiming my husband. So it was just, even as I'm talking to you about it, I'm there because it was just so emotional and surreal. And we were together, but we were alone. And we were just like, we were lost, and it got better. Next day was better. But at that moment, all I wanted to do was go back and run back to where I came from.
Yeah, it's more like one day at a time sometimes. And I know it's definitely a very hard journey. So, Deepali, what has been a low moment in this journey for you?
Oh, well, I would say, Priyanka, being rejected, you know, when I was looking for job opportunities, is probably the lowest moment in my life. Like I said, I come from an entrepreneurship background where I was always a job creator. And I'm in the situation where people actually doubt the experience that I have. And just because, I think that if I had like a corporate experience with a big name, it would have been slightly easier for me to get a job here. But just the fact that my startup experience, where I have built companies ground up into mid-sized companies, is completely discounted. And most of the times there's not even an interview opportunity. Just on the basis of the resume, I was being rejected. And I think that probably was the lowest, point in my life. Now, when I look back, I wonder why it was so, because I always knew what I was. I didn't need anybody else to endorse it for me. But the thing is that with this continuous rejection, your self-esteem also kind of takes a hit. So you are not able to rationalize with yourself as I can now, when I think back. So yeah, I think that was my lowest moment.
Yeah, you know what, Dipali, I would say in hindsight, everything makes sense. But as you're going through those moments of frustration and not knowing why things are happening to you, it's very hard for us to really connect the dots. So
Absolutely.
I think that's just the way the nature works.
Absolutely.
So I know you've been through a lot of, tough and challenging moments, but what is your vision for We Are Pistachios going forward? Aditi, I'll start with you.
I really dream of a world where any spouse, when given a chance to relocate, really embraces that adventure with open arms without fear of what's going to happen to her career or social network, because she knows that We Are Pistachio exists as a community to help her navigate that. And that's really our dream, to reach many more relocating spouses at a time when they are just about to embark on that journey, because we know that relocation as an experience really helps you grow. We know that it helps you really become better as individuals, as in professional as well as personal life. So that's really the vision, is to get to reach relocating spouses and help them navigate their adventure, and to embark on their adventure with confidence, knowing that we've got them, knowing that they've got us.
That's a win-win for all of us. Deepali, I'm quite sure your vision aligns with what Aditi is saying. What do you have to
Absolutely.
add?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just to add to what Aditi said, the second part of the vision also is to create that we come across as advocates for relocating spouses, and we are able to find champions and sponsors for this cause of ours in the corporate world, where they're going to give all these relocating spouses a chance. And I think when that happens, that will be just awesome for we are Pistachio members.
That's very true, Deepali. And giving people opportunities, uh, and believing in each other. I think that's the greatest thing that we can do. And I agree with the other issue Deepali pointed out. You don't really need anybody else to validate who you are. You have your own innate talents, and you know what you're capable of doing. You don't always need somebody to authenticate what your capabilities are. Sometimes it does help, but I think the inner self, we as women or anybody, know what we're capable of doing. So that's a great thought that we all need to keep at the back of our minds. So I know you guys are amazing, fabulous women. And for people like me and my listeners, we feel like, hey, these women have figured it all. They know it all. But tell us, what makes you happy? What's that ticking thing that keeps you happy and fulfilled in life? I'll start with Aditi.
Oh, wow. I think, I'm really motivated by making a very visible impact to someone. And, when someone comes and says to me, hey, because of something that you said or did, it helped me do this. It helped me go into an interview and be more confident, or it helped me realize that I could do this. I think that's what motivates me. And then I want to do more of it. So just, in my practice as a coach and, helping leaders grow, there's that aspect of, can I make a visible impact, and can I contribute to someone to help them go further in their goals, and help them achieve whatever it is that they want. So that's really what makes me get up every day and say, oh wow, what am I going to do today to impact someone, and what am I going to do today to make a contribution to someone's journey.
An impact really makes a difference in everybody's lives. Deepali, what's in store for you that keeps you happy?
So every member story that we hear, that's what makes me happy. So we do these upskilling webinars. There are quite a few series of webinars we do. One of them is an upskilling series, where we try to expose them to a different career path or a certification or something, and how to go about it. So we recently did one about for an organization called SCORE, which takes on mentors as volunteers. So we did a webinar by a SCORE mentor, and that kind of inspired one of our members to go ahead and become a mentor, volunteer mentor at this organization. And these small success stories, that's what makes it all worth it.
That's pretty cool. So thank you for sharing the vision behind We Are Pistachios as well as your personal journeys. We do have a fun rapid fire round for all our special guests. So are you guys ready for it?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
Awesome.
bring it on.
Thank you. So I'm going to start with Aditi, and then I'll then move on to Deepali. So this rapid fire round it's a fun round where you share the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following. All right, Aditi, I'm going to fire it upon you. Let's see how fast you're going to give me an answer.
Okay.
Favorite hobby?
Writing.
Do you have a favorite book?
Ooh, favorite book. I could do a shameless plug. I've written the true story of the ugly duckling, which is a children's book which I've published. So that's my favorite book.
Well, that's pretty cool. Role model.
My mom.
Maybe I should ask you this. How does your mom feel about your success?
Oh, she is. She feels proud, and she inspires me every day to just be better. keep learning.
That's pretty good. An interesting question for you. What's your native language? And in one word, can you describe yourself in your native language?
Ooh, my native language is Marathi. And oh my gosh. So how would I describe myself in Marathi? So I'm going to be it's funny and it may not be true now, but I would like to say fataka, which means,
What does it
which
mean?
means, it means firecracker.
Cool. Yeah, firecrackers. Awesome. Thank you. That was your fun rapid fire round. How did you feel about it?
Oh my God, I was a little, anxious, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I hope I did okay. Thank
Hey,
you.
it was great. Deepali, now that you have a secret window into the questions, I'll start with what's your favorite hobby?
Watching movies.
Do you have a favorite, a recent one that you watched?
Not a recent one, but a movie that I can never get tired of watching. That's Pursuit of Happiness.
Hey, that's a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
Your favorite book?
I like biographies a lot. And I'm just going to say this because this was the most recent biographies that I read, which was Being Michelle Obama.
You know what? I recently just wrapped up reading that book. Pretty cool.
Recall, because I just finished reading it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, she's like a perfect relocating spouse, right? Just like
She
a prime
is.
example, being the first lady.
She is. She
Yeah.
is. And that was inspiring for me that she made so many career changes because of her spouse, and she's not bitter about it. And I would love to learn that from her.
Yeah, and being an ambitious woman herself,
Yes,
it's always interesting the kind of personal choices that you make for your family.
absolutely.
People,
Places.
a role model.
My mom again.
How does she feel about your success so far?
My mom being my mom, she always feels I could do better. So
I really hear you. My mom is my personal inspiration as well. Whatever tougher choices that I make in my life, even being on the podcast, she's always like the go-getter who tells me, gotta go achieve, you have to move on in life. You just can't be stuck in a rut.
and does she listen to your podcast and tell you that you could have done better? Because that would be my mom.
That always happens. And my dad is more critical of my podcast because he has the patience to listen to all the things that I do in my life more than my mom. What's your native language and one word to describe yourself in that language?
So I speak Marathi, and the word that would describe me would probably be dharasi, so which means courageous in Marathi.
Awesome. So I've met a courageous woman and a firecracker. What a nice day, and what a nice way to wrap up the podcast episode as well. I would say thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Deepali, for being wonderful guests on Career Startup Podcast, a podcast to spotlight Asian entrepreneurs. And I feel very happy to create more awareness about We Are Pistachios and be part of your journey. So thank you. And do you have any parting thoughts, Aditi, that you want to share with our listeners?
I just want to say thank you again, Priyanka, for the work you're doing to spotlight Asian entrepreneurs. So thank you for doing that and for inviting us in what I think is August company of the so many guests that you've interviewed. And to our guests, if you are a relocating spouse and you are listening to this podcast, do come and join the We Are Pistachio community and remember our promises that no relocating spouse is ever alone.
Thank you, Aditi. Deepali, what's your take on parting thoughts for listeners?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Priyanka, for having us over. We are a startup, and as you're well aware, every bit of application helps. The idea for giving us the opportunity to just go out there and spread our message and create this awareness, that means a ton. So thank you so much, and it was lovely. It's like it was three friends chatting with each other. So that was a nice feeling.
Thank you, Deepali. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. And there'll be more information about We Are Pistachios as part of the description for the podcast episode. Until another episode with another interesting guest, this is your host, Priyanka Komala, signing off from Career Startup Podcast, a podcast to spotlight Asian entrepreneurs. Thank you.